Okay, so in this video, we're going to show you how to access the AWS Management Console, which will give you access to all the services, many of the services, not all of them, but many of the services under the educational area of AWS. So first thing you want to do here is go ahead and look for the student login when you're on the AWS Academy website. So after you click the link for AWS Academy, go ahead and log in. I'm going to put your student information and password and log in. Everybody will have already at this point been sent an invite to register or activate a specific course. So you may see, once you log in, you may see a number of courses here. The one we're looking at is the one that's AWS Academy Learner Lab. So you should see one of those. I have a couple additional ones, some other things that I'm working through. But go ahead and click the AWS Academy Learner Lab. And here is kind of the entry point for getting access to the AWS Educational Sandbox. So what you're going to do here is go to Modules and click on Learner Lab Associate Services. And then give that a second or two to come up. Once it comes up, you'll be presented with kind of an interesting screen here. You've got AWS listed here, and you can kind of see it's red. So it'll be red, yellow, or green. Green means it's running, yellow means it's in the process of starting, and red means it's not running. So the lab, everything is done through a long-running lab. So the lab will by default run for up to 4 hours. You can extend it just by accessing and hitting the start lab button a second time before it times out. But once it times out, it'll shut down all the services, which will also conserve your budget, which we'll talk about here now. So every student has access to a budget of $100, so within the AWS Academy environment. So you have $100 to use, and $100 actually will go a fairly long way, so that should be more than enough for what we need for the course. So you're going to be able to kind of keep track of that yourself, just to make sure you're not going over that amount or getting close to that amount. If you do get to being close to it, please let me know. I'll try to work with you to figure out why that's happening. But for the most part, these labs will shut down to conserve the budget. But so when you first come in here, the screen will kind of show you kind of this is a terminal window. You can scroll through this. As an interesting read, so please read through this README. It talks about many of the specifics about how you access the Management Console, which I'm going to show you. It talks about which regions we're going to be using. For the most part, we use everything in East 1, so that'll be what you're going to be using. AWS is broken down into many different regions, and then all the services that you start up and use are specific to a region. So for the most part, for this environment, we're going to be using US East 1. And you can kind of scroll here and see all the services you have access to. You are free to try some of these. I have no problems with you trying them. Just be aware that we're just going to make sure we're not exceeding this budget, if at all possible. Okay, so to get to the AWS Management Console from here, you're going to click on Start Lab if it's not running. So if it's red, it's not running, go ahead and start it. And it'll take a few minutes for that to go to green. It's yellow while it's starting up, and then after a minute or two, it'll go green. So that lab is now running. And once the lab is running, you will then be able to click that icon there, and that'll take you into the AWS Management Console. So once you're in here, you have access to all the various services that you need to have. For the most part, for this particular course, we'll be doing most of our stuff in EC2 instances, and there's other videos which will cover the specifics. But that is how you get access to the Management Console. Last but not least, the services will shut down after 4 hours. So you'll see this kind of countdown, and then the labs are designed. This environment is designed to shut down after 4 hours of use. Again, just to conserve that budget. This budget amount, just so you know, also will update about once a day. So it's like a kind of day or so behind where you're actually at. So you won't see it running constantly. So if you're in for a while, you're not going to see this go up and tick up on the fly. Typically it'll be a day or so. You can come back in and you'll see what the budget is. But so what I would encourage you to do is once you are done, go ahead and end the lab. Again, if you don't do that, it will shut down automatically after 4 hours. So since we're going to be not really doing anything right now, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. Go ahead and click yes, end the lab. And that will go ahead and shut all the services down, everything we might have been doing within AWS, and kind of stop that the budget from increasing there, or the cost associated from increasing. And that's it. With any questions, please reach out. Thanks.